wide receiver. Where's the? I mean, we're not talking a battle for a starting spot here, but there's a major battle for the number 3. How do you guys see it? Preview it. What do you think, Chuy?
This is interesting here. We have a couple candidates, I think, that will fit the bill there for number 3. The one person I don't know why never gets a shot is Richie James. Richie James never gets a shot. It seems like the coaching staff just doesn't believe in him, even though the one game last season where we showcased him, he had a breakout game with not stellar quarterback play. So I think, he deserves more opportunities. I can't for the life of me understand why he doesn't get any more. But I really think it's going to come down to Mohamed Sanu. It's going to come down to Jalen Hurd's health. If Jalen Hurd is healthy, I think that's his job to lose. But I think right now the favorite is probably Mohamed Sanu to be that number 3 receiver.
He's turning heads, right? Des Bryant talking about him on Instagram. It seems like people. I mean, he was really good in one of the 3 practices I watched. He had like 6 catches. He had one where he ran away from the entire defense, pulled away from Jimmy Ward. I mean, it seems like he's highly motivated. I'm just wanting to say that. Sorry, Suneil, you have the floor.
Let me add one other thing, Suneil, before you go. He's also going on the Instagram tour like Trey Lance. He's releasing workout videos. I think he's trying to win over the fan base. And,
I think so.
I think that's kind of making him a little bit more exciting than he actually is.
Yeah, fair.
And the thing that is kind of interesting about Sanu is out of all of the receivers that are on the offense, he probably knows Kyle Shanahan's system the most.
That's true.
Because he's come from, Atlanta. So, and he's the most senior member of that wide receiver team. So he might just get it just to have that kind of experience and understanding of the offense to be in there. But what I'm
because there was no experience in that room last year.
For sure, it was boring and
it was old. It was a young room. It was a young
room. So what I'm pretty interested in is what's going to happen if Debo goes down, and because other than Richie James, there's not another receiver that they have. I mean, obviously Ayuk, but to fill into that kind of role that Debo played, running back / wide receiver. And I think Richie James is actually going to get a lot of playing time if Debo does go down, because he has that dual threat option as far as having the speed and the vision to be able to do those sweeps, as well as catch the ball really well as a receiver as well. So I think the number 3 is probably going to be Sanu, but I think that if Richie James is still going to play a prominent role in case Ayuk or Debo go down.
I think we're not arguing tight ends next, are we?
No.
Okay, so I think
there's no question on the depth chart. There's nothing there. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying if they go 4 tight ends, that does I think maybe hurt the amount of wide receivers they can take. Then it becomes a question of Michael Pruitt or a 6th wide receiver, whether it's Trent Sherfield or something. I know they took 6 receivers and 4 tight ends last year.
Yeah, they usually do 4 wide receivers, 4 tight ends. Excuse me.
Yeah, and so you got Werner, Dwelly, Kittle, and then Pruitt, I guess, would be the blocking tight end. And they have to take an extra DB this year because they have so many safeties that aren't free safeties that they're going to need another defensive back. That's why I think wide receiver might be the position that they only take 5, at least at the start, and then use George Kittle or Eli Mitchell or Ross Dwelly in kind of like that power slot role that people want Juwan Jennings to take on. So that's why I think it will be a competition between the bigger wide receivers to fight off that 4th tight end, whether that's Watkins, Juwan Jennings, Jalen Hurd, Mohamed Sanu to win that power slot role.
So actually, my worry is whether not only the 3rd wide receiver slot is open. I think 1, 2, 3, all 3 spots are open. The reason is during OTAs and training camps, you didn't see Ayuk and Debo practicing, right? Mm-hmm. They were not available. So in this, that's a problem. I believe that all these players, you talked about Juwan Jennings, he was doing really well. So He might also have a chance, right? Mm-hmm. And what about these players? Andy Jones. We wanted Mac Jones.
Julio Jones.
Julio Jones, then we got Andy Jones. So
Yes.
you wanted Andy Jones, so we got Andy Jones.
Yeah.
So that's where.
Don't sleep on Trent Sherfield.
Yes. And what about River Craycraft? Still, he's on the team, right?
It certainly is. No one's mentioned Jalen Hurd.
Yes. So I think it's a quite open battle. So all three positions, given the injuries we have, I don't think still we can say for sure 100% that Debo and Ayuk will go 17 games without missing any one during the middle of the part. So that's where I think all these players, Sanu, Jalen Hurd, if he's healthy, but still River Craycraft, Juan Jennings, they will all have a chance. It's a fair game.
I do feel like if Jalen Hurd could ever stay healthy, the Niners would give him this job. They want it to be him. In the ideal world, it's Jalen Hurd's job, but I don't know. If I haven't seen him around. We'll see about that one. If it's not him, then I think you have a committee. You got to play Richie James sometimes. He's really good. He's not the slot receiver possession guy you go to on 3rd and 4, but he is a guy you want to throw deep to at least once a game. I mean, so he has a role, but I think Sanu, I think he's got an opportunity here. I think the Niners feel they need a senior member of the wide receiver room like Emmanuel Sanders, a grown-up. They didn't have one really. Like Kendrick Bourne was grown up in the room, and Kendrick Bourne, as the head coach says, is basically 11 years old in good way. That's what Kyle says. So Sanu is my age, a little bit younger. Former first-round pick, has pedigree, not exactly what he used to be, but he was never fast, and he seems like he's in great shape. And if the competition is between him and former 7th-round pick Juwan Jennings, Sanu could win that. It's not like the Niners are totally wedded to Juwan, although he's young, and if he looks good, thank you, Mohamed, but you're the backup. So I think it's kind of probably between those two, with Richie James factoring in as a gadget, deep threat guy sometimes, and Jalen Hurd, if he could ever get healthy, they're just basically holding a spot for him.
So I'm interested in seeing what happens with Kevin White too. I mean,
good point.
He's somebody
Don't forget
who was
about
highly
Kevin White.
drafted. Former first-round pick. If he can be anything close to what was expected of him coming into the draft, that'd be something that could be a steal for the 49ers if he could, do anything this year.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of him in training camp. Chuy, do you want to say something?
Yeah, who do you guys think might be a surprise cut from the wide receiver group? Somebody we're not expecting that won't make the roster?
Good question. I have no idea.
Richie James.
I was going to actually say that, Waruna, is I think Richie James is likely to not make the roster this year.
Cool.
I just think Juwan Jennings, from what they've been saying, is really turning heads in camp so far and in mini camps and OTAs. So I think Juwan Jennings' emergence, if Jalen Hurd is healthy, Mohamed Sanu, I think Richie James may be on the outside looking in.
See, I think
especially since they don't trust him returning kicks either. So I just think he doesn't really have a role.
I think they might not trust him as much as River Craycraft returning punts, but if Craycraft doesn't make the team, it's Richie James and Ambry Thomas back there. So I think Richie James, for that alone, is going to be there. Plus, I think they need he might not be 4.22 speed, but he does have speed that a lot of guys from the 49ers slot history haven't had the last couple of years. So I think he's going to be an asset just for that alone.
Yeah, I don't think Travis Benjamin makes a team. Here, let me see if I can name the 6, and then we'll move on. I think it's going to be Ayuk, Debo, Sanu, Richie James, Juwan Jennings, Jalen Hurd. Did I forget anyone?
No.
White.
6.
White could go on the practice squad. River Craycraft could go on the practice squad. Travis Benjamin could go on the practice squad. But that's my best guess now.
This might be a season because in 2019 the 49ers did carry 7 receivers. If they take 7 receivers, maybe that's kind of a hint towards maybe Trey Lance going to be able to.
I think what they did, though, sorry to cut you off, was they kept 7 and then they immediately put Jalen Hurd on IR or something like that. It was kind of finagling the system. They didn't keep 7 for very long. Anyway, I think Jeff Wilson Jr. didn't make the 53 to start off in 2019. Then he got called up. So they kind of played around with it a little bit. Paul Salvi says, finally, I had him blocked. Sorry, unblocked you. Thanks for the $5. great show, great content, great guests. I agree. I think this is a great show with great content and great guests.